Hi, Assalamualaikum and greetings to all. I am Jowati binti Johari from the National Defence University of Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And this is the title of my sharing session today, Facilitating Students for an English Course, a Teacher's Journey. Let me be honest with all of you, the teacher is I. So let's have a look at today's sharing session. Malaysia wants to become an international education hub and to become a global player in education and to promote internationalization of higher education in Malaysia. English language plays a key role. Because of this, the emphasis has been given to improve the proficiency of graduates in English language. Preliminary findings suggest that students for a special course improve their skills if they are drilled and given ample practices before, during, and after face-to-face sessions. So what is this special course? Basically, at the National Defence University of Malaysia, students are required to take 2 compulsory English courses and 1 special course, basic grammar and vocabulary, for those who score Band 1, Band 2, and Band 2.5 for our National English Language Test, or MUET. So basically, it is offered every semester. However, depending on the intake, the proficiency levels of that particular intake, sometimes we have a lot of students for this basic grammar and vocabulary course. Sometimes we have only maybe 4 or 10 of them. So let's look further into the English language requirements for our undergraduate students. So basically, some universities, they offer up to 6 English language courses. Some offer maybe 4 or 3 or maybe even 1. Now, everybody must take English 1 course, 2 courses, or 3 courses, or even 6 courses, depending on their MUET or Malaysian University English test. So this is a national exam for English language. It is required for all students upon entering a university in Malaysia to do their undergraduate program. They must have a MUET band or a MUET score. So the idea is these students should exit the university with 1 MUET band higher than the entrance. Now, if we were to align the MUET to CEFR, MUET band 1, band 2, and band 2.5, it is aligned to CEFR A2. For MUET 3 and 3.5, it is aligned to CEFR B1. And for MUET 4 and 4.5, it is aligned to CEFR B2. For the National Defence University of Malaysia, we have our own foundation programs. So this is where we actually train our students to prepare for MUET. And from 2008 and 2021, we have roughly about 2,678 students taking MUET, and out of those, 21 students scored band 5 MUET and above. And this is equivalent to CFR C and C1. So ideally, if we look at this, we do realize that we need to do something in terms of improving the proficiency level. So we have to look at the materials, we have to look at the approaches as well as the activities. And what is the problem that I actually find when I taught this course? How to actually train students for this basic and vocabulary course? What kind of teaching and learning activities to be used, as well as the materials? What are the best approaches to assist students to master grammar and vocabulary within the short period of time? In the National Defence University of Malaysia, We have what we call as main semesters, 14 weeks, and we have short semester, 7 weeks. So for this basic grammar and vocabulary, the time given is just 1 hour per week for 14 weeks or 2 hours per week for 7 weeks. So it's within this short period of time, what can be done? What are the materials that are suitable within this limited period of time? And before we go into the findings, let's have a look at the literature, the selected literature for this work. Basically, we look at behaviorism, especially Skinner's drill and practice concept. And we look at conditioning the students' learning. So basically, we give them something, we drill them, and then they have to practice repeatedly. And at the same time, we also look at communicative language teaching. The idea is for the students to know the context that they can use what they are being drilled. So we look at how language is used. We use authentic materials so that the students become more engaged in their own learning process. They have understanding, they have the schema behind whatever that is being given to them. And at the same time, in order to promote active learning, we use student-centered learning so that the students can understand the context, can relate in their real life, and can use authentic materials at the same time. The methodology adopted, mixed method, we consider this a case study research method where observations of the students were done and semi-structured interviews were also conducted. 4 students were used for this particular short work, basically all population, because as mentioned earlier, sometimes we have a lot of students taking this basic grammar and vocabulary. Sometimes we have very few numbers of them. So for this one, when I was teaching, just 4 of them. And we also had pre and post test for this. And the findings, roughly, based on these 4 students, maybe the situations are different if we have more students in one class. But at least we do know that, with 4 students, the best approaches and learning activities to assist students in grammar and vocabulary are a combination of behaviorism and communicative language teaching, CLT. This is where behaviorism allows for teachers to present the rules and concepts to the students. I do believe that the students must know the rules. They must know how to actually use the language. And after that, the students were drilled, followed by practices of the rules and concepts. And the practices adopt CLT in its approach so that students can use the rules later in real life context. And I would say that the best activities include role plays, dictation, repetition, using the principles of engage, study, and activate. Now, the best part about role plays, sometimes all 4 of them role play one situation. Sometimes we have pair works. So if we were to have more, then we can have like smaller groups of students doing role plays. And if we were to actually translate what I said earlier in terms of a diagram. So this one here, for example, this is actually before coming to classes where they have online lectures, where they have online notes, and then they have online exercises, and then they come to class. And then this is where, during the class, they have drill and practice, they have role plays, dictation, repetition, using the concept of this one, behaviorism and CLT. And then this is after the class, the physical classes, online quizzes, in order to further enhance the students' mastery of grammar and vocabulary. And this one here comes from this principle where we have to engage the students to study. And then this is where it becomes activated to study. So this process is actually in circular motion. It's a cycle. It won't stop, because if, let's say, the students are not mastering anything, then they have to get it activated, and they have to study, they have to get engaged with the materials. So to conclude, this is our conclusion page. The journey that I have basically with the students, 4 of them. Some suggestions. To further validate the approaches and learning activities, of course, it is a must to have a future research that include all students taking the course. As I said, 4 students when I taught the course. So maybe during other academic years or other semesters, we have more students. So we have to validate the approaches as well as learning activities. And at the same time, the approaches and learning activities can also be tested on students taking other English courses. At the National Defence University of Malaysia, we have academic writing, and the second one is actually called as Al-Ghazali's dialogue oral communication. So perhaps this one can be tested. The activities, the materials can be tested to these other 2 courses. Further, we need to retrain all English instructors teaching the course. This is a must, and this must be done immediately, because as all the courses are offered in all semesters, main and short ones, we need to get the validation done as soon as possible so that we can do CQI, continuous quality improvement of the materials, of the approaches, and the learning activities. So in short, it must be emphasized that higher grades or bands do not ensure students' communicative competence. We do have students who are very good at English, but they do not know how to use the language appropriately. They do not know how to address people who are older or people who are of a higher rank of them, simply because they do not have this communicative competence. Further, students must also be comfortable using English language. And the comfort in using English comes from both the know what, the functions, as well as the know-how, the forms, knowledge of the language. So they know the rules, they know the concepts, they know how the spelling systems work, for example, and they know when, where, how, to whom to use this language, know what and know how. So with that, thank you very much. Should there be questions, please contact me. I can be contacted at joati@upnm.edu.my, and I'm happy to receive questions, or perhaps to exchange ideas with anyone who's interested in English language teaching. So once again, thank you very much, and greetings to all.